everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing amazing today. If you're new here, then welcome back to my channel. I really hope you enjoy your first video. So today's video is going to be another financial related video because we're early into 2020 and I want this year to be such a good year for everyone, full of positivity, full of savings, and to help you reach your financial goals this year so that we can get to the end of the year and feel really positive and really proud of ourselves. So over on my Instagram, I asked you guys to ask me further questions to answer for you regarding savings, and so many of you asked me about debt and how you can save whilst in debt. Now, when I say debt, I'm referring to things like credit cards, loans, even overdrafts on your bank accounts. You guys have asked me what to do about your overdrafts, how to get out of them. So this video is going to be all about that and addressing how you can still save money whilst you're in debt and how to assess this, because often it can be quite daunting when you're in that position yourself and you look at your outgoings and you think, oh my god, there is no way I can save. But it's really nice to have someone talk it through for you and make you feel a little bit better about it. So I really hope this video helps anyone in that situation and that you find this video helpful. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, it's at HazelwoodX. I would love for you to join me on there too, because then you can get involved in future videos like this, because I'm going to do lots more financial videos on my channel throughout this year. I've got all my notes here on my phone because I was typing it all up last night just to make sure that I cover everything that I need to cover. So as I said, when I'm referring to debt, credit cards, loans, overdrafts, anything like that, car finance, even things like a phone contract, that's still kind of a debt because it's still money that you've borrowed. Could be when you've got a mortgage, anything like that where you've got a fixed outgoing each month that you know you have to pay and you can't get rid of. A lot of you in this position still want to be able to save, you still want to be able to enjoy your lifestyle, and sometimes you feel a bit overwhelmed by the debt that you have. You want to rush to clear it, and this is going to help you just decide how best to balance that. So the first step that you're going to need to do, which I always say, is you need to assess your income versus your outgoings. So to do this, you can simply go through your bank statements or you can use an app. I use an app called Money Dashboard. You can log into your bank accounts and it will pull through all transactions. You can then categorise them transactions into essential outgoings such as bills or non-essential such as takeaways. So that's a great starting point. It's often good to look back at a couple of months just to make sure you're factoring in everything, because sometimes we may have an outgoing that's every other month, for example. So look at a couple of months if you can, if you've got the time, or at least 1 month minimum, so you can totally understand your financial position, what money is coming in each month via income and what money is leaving your bank account each month. You then need to drill down out of your outgoings what you don't actually need to spend, and I'm going to be doing a separate video all about budgeting, but a real quick overview of that is basically cut things out that are non-essential. So any takeaways, fast foods, which is basically the same thing, anything that you're spending which is just kind of lifestyle spending, things that are fun which you don't actually need to spend, cut that out, because then that will give you a really clear indication of what money you actually have left each month. And then if you decide to go out, we can factor that in later on. So for example, let's say you have £1,000 a month income and you've got £500 fixed outgoings. That is your phone contract, your loan for your car, and rent, for example. So you take that out, rent, you know, if you're living at home with parents. So you've got £500 left each month, but actually you've realised you normally spend 300 of that 500 just on going out for meals and shopping. So you now know that that's 300 extra pounds you actually have a month which you don't need to necessarily spend. So we can factor that back into our spare income, if you like. So we've got 500 essential outgoings, so we've got £500 left over. And then that's up to you as to how you decide to spend that £500 if you like. So you need to look at the debts that you do have. Now, how long are the debts for? Have you got time to pay them back, or is it a really short-term thing? For example, is it a credit card and you've only got a year left until the interest rate goes up? Because if that is the case, you may want to consider trying to pay that back quicker than you would with a fixed car finance, which is 3 years and it's a fixed payment and it doesn't vary. So you need to look at all of your debts that you do have and assess what ones are most essential to pay back quicker versus the ones that you can just leave plodding along, pay back each month gradually and leave them as they are. You then need to assess what is your actual savings goal. So do you have a set deadline and do you have a set figure in mind? I always suggest making a figure and a deadline if you can, because when you're just saving for the sake of saving, it's all well and good, but you need an actual goal, because having a goal really helps you to stay focused, stay determined, and have something to reach for. If I don't have a goal, I will be rubbish with my money, so I always set myself my next goal, and once I've achieved that goal, I'll then set the next goal. I constantly have goals in my life, and it's really key to help you stay on track. So So if your savings goal is a really short term, then you need to think about how much money you want to set aside towards debts versus your savings. And obviously if your savings goal is really short, then you're probably going to prioritise as much money as you can into your savings account, reduce the amount of money you spend going out with friends, and just pay back the minimums on your credit cards, and of course pay back any loan fixed payments, for example. Whereas if you have a longer term to save, say 5 years, you could look at your leftover money each month and think, right, I'm going to save half of it and I'm going to use half of it to clear my debts down, because it may be that you've got a bit longer to save, you're not in such a rush to save, therefore why not try and clear them credit cards or debts quicker, just to make sure they're all gone, because once the debts are gone, you can save even more each month. So it's all about assessing the timescale you have and what your goal is, and that's going to determine how much you put into your savings versus your debts. You could do a simplified method of 50-50, so half of your leftover money goes to your debts, half your leftover money goes to savings. It's totally up to you and what you feel comfortable doing. For me personally, I pay back my debts at the fixed rate. So for example, I have my car finance, I pay that back. I don't overpay that. I can overpay it if I want, but I will never overpay that because I'm happy to just keep plodding along paying that back each month. I do have a small credit card and I pay back the minimum on that the month at the moment. But some months, if I have got a little bit of extra money, then I might pay back £100. So it's kind of weighing up each month as well and looking at what expenses you have got that month, because if you have got a good month where you've got say £300 extra money you didn't anticipate, it may be that you want to split that, put some into savings and some into credit cards. There really is no right or wrong answer, but for me it's really about drilling down what you have coming in versus going out, look at what is left over and what can you do to utilise that money to the best potential. So are you wasting it going out, or can you be using that to pay off your credit card? What is going to make you feel better? And if you're in a position where you have no money left over a month whatsoever and you're thinking, Hazel, all these tips are well and good, but I can't save anything, then you need to look at every single outgoing you have and see if you can reduce any of them outgoing. So are you paying for things that you don't need to pay for? Is there things you're paying for which you could potentially look to reduce? I always talk about this, but definitely review any outgoings you have. So if you're spending say £50 a week on food, can you shop somewhere else and spend less money? Are you paying so much for your electricity and gas that you could get cheaper elsewhere? You really need to be researching every single outgoing you have and seeing if you can make cost cuts, because everyone can make cost cuts. Someone commented on my video the other day and she said that simply checking her gas and electricity provider and switching after my video saved her £350 a year just by spending 10 minutes online doing a little bit of research and switching providers. It can save you so much money, and then that is the money that you can save which you didn't think you had for savings, and then you're going to feel really happy because you're still paying your debts off and you are still saving as well. It's obviously really key to remember nothing happens overnight. There's no magical thing here that you can, you know, click your fingers and your debts are going to be gone and you're going to be saving loads. Things take time. You have to be patient, and that can be really frustrating when you see other people around you who are potentially reaching their goals quicker than you, but I'm sure at one point they went through the exact same thing as you. Everyone has struggles and everyone has positive periods as well, and perhaps you're going through a little bit of a rough time right now where things are harder and you're struggling to save that money, but don't worry, stay focused, stay positive. Try and apply all the steps that I've said and eventually you will start to see results. It might take a year, it might take 2 years, but time goes by so quickly, and that's one thing I've learned as well with my financial goals in the past. I would sit there and be so miserable because it felt like it was going to be so far away to ever reaching my goal to buy a house or to get a car, and actually that time flew by so quickly, and I'm now a year and a half into being a homeowner, and a couple of years ago that felt like it was never going to happen, but now it's already been and gone and I'm already thinking about my next move. So it's crazy, isn't it? Time really does go by quickly, and I know that it's going to be annoying to hear me say that and you're going to think, Hazel, I just want an overnight fix, but there is no overnight fix. You need to be consistent, keep applying the same techniques, keep assessing your income and outgoings, keep seeing what you can save versus paying off debts, and go from there. Another thing that's really important as well with debts and credit and all of that kind of thing is that you need to look at what debts you're actually paying off. So for example, if you have a credit card and you've got a really high interest rate, maybe try and pay that one back quicker if you have a couple of credit cards, or can you transfer that credit card onto another credit card, because you can do a balance transfer. Try and find a credit card with a 0% interest rate. Can you transfer your extortionate interest rate onto another one, because that's going to instantly save you whatever the interest rate is, which can be up to kind of 30%. So it's going to save you a hell of a lot of money each month. And another thing as well is overdrafts in your bank account. Being in an overdraft is never good. It obviously costs you money a lot of the time. It can incur daily fees, and that was another question I had, how to pay off your overdrafts, and my only only advice is to take the steps that I said at the beginning about assessing your income and outgoings and what you have left, and use your first couple of months of saving to pay off your overdraft and to build up a little bit of a balance in your main current account, because there's no point in trying to save money if you're constantly going to be in your overdraft. You might be transferring money into, say, your savings account and feeling great that that number's going up, but if you're constantly going into your overdraft, that account is lacking. So you need to focus a little bit of attention onto that account for the first few months of your saving plan until you can clear that overdraft. And if possible, limit your overdraft. I think my overdraft is about £100 because I don't want to have a big overdraft to say £500, because if it's there, you're so much more likely to use it, and it isn't your money at the end of the day. It is just another form of debt. And a lot of people, when they have got an overdraft, view it as money that is just accessible and there for them to use, but it's not. It's money you've got to pay back. I know you all know that, guys, but just trying to reinforce it, I guess. And ultimately, everyone, well, most people are in debt. Most people have, say, a mortgage or a phone contract or a car, and all these people have debt, but it's about how you view that debt as well. Is your debt a long-term debt or is it a short-term debt? Is it your mortgage? Then I seriously wouldn't worry about that unless you're in a position where you have so much money that you really can overpay your mortgage and not worry about the money kind of disappearing from your bank account. I would just say make them payments and don't worry too much, because a house is a very, very long-term investment. If you have a car on finance, again, it's not necessarily a long-term investment, but it's something that you're going to be having for a good couple of years. So again, don't necessarily worry about it. It's just a fixed outgoing that you have each month. You don't need to necessarily worry about, oh my God, my car cost me £10,000 and that means I've got a 10 grand loan I've got to pay back. No, that isn't the case. Yes, technically it is the case because it is a 10 grand debt, if you see what I'm saying, but just look at the monthly outgoing, because that monthly outgoing is your cost of having that car, if that makes sense. And that's how I try and view it. I don't think about how much my car actually costs me. I just look at the monthly outgoing, that it's affordable. So that's what I strongly suggest with things like that. Whereas if it is something like a credit card, then yes, that is a short-term debt. It is something that you need to start paying back quite quickly, because you don't want to incur the high interest rates, and you don't want to have too many credit cards as well, because too many credit cards could potentially make it harder for you to get another credit card in the future, or another debt or loan, or whatever you want to do. So that is kind of my tips, I guess. Hopefully they're helpful. I feel like a lot of these tips I've kind of said in other videos as well. It's always about assessing your income and outgoings and what you have left over, and seeing if you can cut down on costs, and then using that extra money you've freed up to save or pay off your debts. It's kind of finding the balance, and that's all I can really say on it. I know it sounds silly as well, but be grateful for the position you are in. You know, if you are in a position where you can save, even if you're only saving £20 a month, you are still in a better position than so many people out there. So please try and be grateful for what you have. Please don't try and compare yourself to other people's situations who have more money, because I'm sure they've had their own struggles, and I'm sure they've had to work really, really hard to achieve what they have. And I can assure you that if you put your mind to it, you work hard, and you know, you stay focused, you can so achieve your dreams. So please don't worry about what's going to happen in the future. Just focus on each month making the best decisions you can every single month, and just watch that money grow. It will happen, I promise you. So guys, I really hope this video helped anyone out there who is struggling a little bit and just who needed a little bit of motivation. I mean, there wasn't any groundbreaking kind of, oh my God, Hazel, that was the best thing you've told me in the whole world. I know all this stuff's pretty standard, but sometimes it's nice to have someone just kind of reinforce it, I guess, and just make you feel like, oh, actually, yeah, I am doing the right thing. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, and I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please do DM me on Instagram at HazelwoodX, and I can potentially use them in another financial video really soon. Thank you so much for your support, guys. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subbed already, you know what to do, and I would also love it if you could put the thumbs up down below, because that really helps my channel out. Thank you guys, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye. Boom.